Good morning. I hope you are, if you're watching this in Mississippi and the metro area, I hope you are surviving the cold. I am layered up. I may work from home today because I hate cold weather. I'm over winter. I'm ready for summer already. So if we can just hurry up and get winter over with, we can go back to the lovely 90-degree um, heat with 90% humidity that we all love so much. I'm just ready for that to come back any day now. So today, we're gonna really. You've heard me say each time we talk about Ruth, how it's the notion of the redemptive kindness. The Hesed is the Hebrew word. Ruth is a story of the redemptive power of kindness, and we're going to begin to start to see kindness begin to weave its way really into the story today on several accounts. So let's read chapter 2, verses 4 through 23 to the end of the chapter. Just then Boaz arrived from Bethlehem and greeted the harvesters. The Lord be with you. The Lord bless you, they answered. You can tell they weren't Methodist because they would say, Lord be with you. And they were supposed to say, and also with you, the common refrain. The Lord bless you, they answered. Boaz asked the overseers of his harvesters, who does this young woman belong to? The overseer replied, she is the Moabite who came back from Moab with Naomi. She said, please let me glean and gather among the sheaves behind the harvesters. She came into the field and has remained here from morning till now, except for a short rest in the shelter. So Boaz said to Ruth, my daughter, listen to me. Don't go and glean in another field and don't go away from here. Stay here with the women who work for me. Watch the field where the men are harvesting and follow along after the women. I have told the men not to lay a hand on you. And whenever you are thirsty, go and get a drink from the water jars the men have filled. At this, she bowed down with her face to the ground, and she asked him, why have I found such favor in your eyes that you notice me a foreigner? Boaz replied, I've been told about what you have done for your mother-in-law since the death of your husband. How you left your father and mother in your homeland and came to live in a people you did not know before. May the Lord repay you for what you've done. May you richly be rewarded by the Lord, the God of Israel, under whose wings you have come to take refuge. May I continue to find favor in your eyes, my Lord, she said. You have put me at ease by speaking kindly to your servant, though I do not have the standing of one of your servants. At the meantime, Boaz said to her, come over here. Have some bread and dip it in the wine vinegar. When she sat down with the harvesters, she was offered some roasted grain. She ate all she wanted and had some left over. As she got up to glean, Boaz gave orders to his men. Let her gather among the sheaves and don't reprimand her. Even pull out some stalks for her from the bundles and leave them for her to pick up, and don't rebuke her. So Ruth gleaned in the field until evening. Then she threshed the barley she had gathered and it amounted to an ephah. She carried it back to town. Her mother-in-law saw how much she had gathered. Ruth also brought out and gave her what she had left over after she had eaten enough. Her mother-in-law asked her, where did you glean today? Where did you work? Blessed be the man who took notice of you. Ruth told her mother-in-law about the one whose place she had been working. The name of the man I worked with today is Boaz, she says. The Lord bless him, Naomi said to her daughter-in-law. He has not stopped showing his kindness to the living and to the dead. She added, that man is our close relative. He is one of the guardian redeemers. Then Ruth the Moabite said, he even said to me, stay with my workers until they finish harvesting all my grain. Naomi said to Ruth, her daughter-in-law, it will be good for you, my daughter, to go with the women who work for him, because in someone else's field you might be harmed. So Ruth stayed close to the women of Boaz to glean until the barley and wheat harvest were finished, and she lived with her mother-in-law. So do you see the acts of kindness we see taking place here? We see Ruth eating. Um, it says she ate all she wanted. This is verse 14. She ate all she wanted and had some left over. Then later we see she gave to Naomi what she actually had not eaten of her meal. We see her caring for her mother-in-law. Then we see Boaz showing kindness to Ruth. And I love, and Naomi recognizes this. Naomi says, verse 20, he is not showing his kindness to the living and to the dead. Boaz shows kindness to Abimelech. Um, he shows kindness to him, even though he's passed. Shows kindness to Naomi and shows kindness to Ruth. And I love what it says in verse 12. May you be richly rewarded by the Lord, the God of Israel, under whose wings you have come to take refuge. Did you notice how many times it mentioned that she was a Moabite or she was a foreigner? Verse 6, she was a Moabite who came back from Moab. Verse, so twice there. She was the Mo she is the Moabite who came back from Moab with Naomi. So it says she's the Moabite who came from Moab. Just in case you were curious, she's the Moabite, you know? Um, we see that in verse 6 when she talks to verse 10, why have you taken favor upon me, a foreigner? Um, we see verse 21. Then Ruth the Moabite said, do you see how many times it's saying, hey, y'all, in case you were curious, you might not have been paying attention. Ruth the Moabite, she's from Moab. I don't know if you caught that thus far in the first couple chapters here, but she's a Moabite, just so we're all aware on the same page here. She's a Moabite. And like I said earlier in the scriptures, it says for the Israelites to avoid the Moabites. But we see here that Boaz recognizes this. He sees in Ruth the kindness she's showing. I've been told about what you've done for your mother-in-law since the death of your husband. Ruth had no obligation to do that. She had no obligation to do that, but she did it anyway. She showed kindness to Naomi, even though she didn't have to do that. And so her kindness is told around the town, particularly because she's a Moabite. And remember, the Jews don't like the Moabites. So there's going to be a lot of talk. Hey, can you believe this Moabite being so nice? This Moabite being so kind? This is, in many ways, this is the Old Testament equivalent of the Good Samaritan. Because the Good Samaritan, they were shocked that the Samaritan could do good because Samaritans were the worst. So the fact that the Samaritan was the hero for the people of Jesus' day was a shocking turn of the story. Likewise, here, the Moabite, Ruth the Moabite, she's from Moab, she's a Moabite. What are you nice to be a foreigner? The people are talking about how this foreigner, this Moabite, how she's showing such kindness to her mother-in-law. She's showing kindness to everyone she's meeting. That story's told. There's no dark humor joke. No good deed goes unpunished. You've probably heard that before. Kindness is never wasted. Now, friends, that doesn't mean that our kindness will be repaid in the same way that Ruth is beginning to see her kindness be repaid. But may God richly bless you because you've been you have come to rest under the wings of the God of Israel, where you've come to take refuge. Kindness is rewarded. Maybe not by others. It's rewarded in our own soul because sometimes you're kind and nobody sees it. And we aren't kind so that we are seen we're kind because we're trying to be like Jesus. We're kind because we're trying to live out the gospel. We're kind because we're trying to show the character and the integrity of God. We aren't kind to get ahead. We aren't kind for power. We aren't kind so people can see. We're kind because it's simply the right thing to do. It is kindness that cuts through the division and the hatred of this moment. It's kindness that cuts through all the things that tear down. It's kindness that shows the loving heart of the Father. It's kindness. Kindness doesn't go unrewarded because the greatest reward of all of everything is to know Jesus. Our kindness, when we live out the gospel, draws us closer to God, allow others to be drawn closer to God. So today, I'm just going to encourage you to be kind. No matter where you find yourself, no matter what you're doing, no matter what's going on, no matter how busy your day looks, no matter how frustrated you may be at what's happening in life, I'm just going to encourage you to be kind. Kindness changes things. Kindness changes people. Kindness changes me and you. Ruth showed kindness to Naomi. People heard about that. Boaz showed kindness to Ruth. And we're going to see throughout the rest of this book just how far that kindness goes. Today, just be kind and see how God uses it. Thanks for being with us today. We're going to pick up tomorrow with chapter 3. Ruth's a short book, so not a whole lot more to go, but I will pick up tomorrow with chapter 3. Thanks for being with us. Have a great day.